Yeah, I think we can start. We no need to wait anymore. The others can join. I'll just switch the presentation and then we can get started. Give me a second. I've shared the master presentation. I'm also going to put on my camera so you know there's a human at the other end. Yeah, that's me, the photo, and this is me. The photo's pretty old. I haven't really felt like changing it. Right. Thank you guys for hopping onto this. I hope it will be worth your while. We have done some minor improvements in the content, minor and major both to some extent in the content since the last time we did the webinar, right? Uh, let's get started. I'm going to switch the presentation, and we'll go through the first the reminders about the webinar. There are no polls. This time I've stayed away from having any polls. So we will skip the polls part. But what I would request you to do is you will see a question panel available to you, right? Keep asking the questions as we go. Try not to wait till the end because you're likely to forget. And then there will be a small survey in the end. I think it's just 2 or 3 questions. Please do that. It helps us think about what you want to see and review that and probably make the next webinar better. We run these monthly, right? We run them monthly either as self-hosted, Mithi hosted, or in tandem with our partners. So you will see quite a few promotions related to our webinars which we run with Tata Tele Business Services, who's our nationwide partner for distributing Vaultastic, right? So we do hold webinars with them and with other partners as well, right? You will see those promotions on social media or mailers. If you want to run webinars for your audience, we are happy to do that. We have content along several dimensions. I can see some partners in the mix, so I'm talking that. So if you would like to have a discussion or have a presentation to your customer base, we are very happy to participate in that, right? No need to take notes. We will pull out key snippets from the webinar as small videos and send it to you. That will be a reference. We try not to send the entire webinar because I don't think anybody will ever go through a 1 hour recording. It's a little rare. But if you like, you can always request it. We can send it to you. It's always available with us. Right? So these are a few reminders. Now we should get started with the content. Now I'm just coming back to the home page. What are we really talking about today, right? The theme of today's webinar is compliance. But the big question to ask ourselves is what is this compliance and compliance with what? Right? Typically, compliance is a word which is associated with banks or financial service institutes. Very rarely you will hear of the word compliance in normal operational, stuff, right? But that's not true, and I will show you that what I'm saying today. No doubt that compliance is very critical for the banking, financial, and insurance sector. But keeping that aside, the other sectors and there are other kinds of compliances which we should become aware of. And how do we take care of that? What are the challenges with that is what we'll try to cover in this webinar, right? So to start with, there are 6 global scale problems we have to solve. If you're a partner, you have to do it for your customer. And if you're a customer, you have to do it for yourself. We have identified these 6 global scale problems related to. So, since we are a data company, right, the content of this webinar is data centric. We will not be talking about, in detail, at least not about compliances related to, company affairs and all. That is a different story. We are not getting into that. For us, everything which relates to data related compliance we can talk about. We have done the research, we've spoken to customers, we have got the knowledge to some extent at least, right? I'm not saying I'm an expert, but at least I can share some insights with you which may benefit you. So what are the 6 global scale problems which we need to solve for our business to work continuously and not have problems? Now this has again come from a lot of conversations with maybe 500 to 1,000 conversations with customers and we've distilled out these six, right? First, the first problem to solve is business disruption. This is a significant problem if it happens if data is lost. So, and 70% businesses may close down. The second problem is ransomware. In this also there is potential of data loss, but this is coming from outside. That data loss, the first one may come from within mostly, right? So in case of a ransomware, it's a huge problem to solve. Non-compliance. This is for regulated industries as well as audited people, people who undergo audits on a regular basis, and most companies do. What is the problem with not complying? That is a problem we have to solve. Productivity loss. It seems, or this is a research done by McKinsey, that 25% of a work week is lost just searching for information. This is former employees. When employees leave the organization, one research has shown that almost 70% CIOs fear information loss. And this is not unfounded, and this is factual, right? This fear is not ghost. This is a real fear. I have seen it myself in so many conversations where customers have brought up this challenge. And of course, the cost of keeping data, cost of using premium licenses. So these are the six problems which we need to solve for our customer or for ourselves. I will pause for a second at each slide so you can record your question if any. Anything is fine. I will try to answer it. If not, I will get back to you. So now these problems are not fictitious. As you can see, these are real stories. I will be sharing 6 or 7 stories with you. This happened with one of our customer. They deleted data from Microsoft 365 and they could not recover it because of the recycle bin. And this, by the way, is across plans. People feel that the higher plans protect me. It's wrong. And we will see that as well, right? This was kind of a compliance, but more or less it was a legal problem where the bank was sued for not sending an alert, which was a 1 crore sue. This is our customer today, and we were able to pull out this notification and prove that the notification was sent, and hence the bank won the case. Right? But this happened really. So this is so if you see those six problems, all of the six problems you will see in these six real stories, right? This is another real story which happened in 2024, more than a year ago, where this particular person deleted some data and left, and the cost to the organization was about a 918,000 Singapore dollars. That's a lot of money, right? So this is intentional deletion, but recovery was possible. Then if you look at these, this is a 2023 news, right? It's a little old, but I don't think it's different in this year or last year, right? 36,150 NPA accounts, was sued, right, by the banks. Now, what to fight these kind of suits, and it can happen to anybody, right? You have to have information ready. Ransomware, uh, sick, financial institutes are the most hit. The second most hit are the law firms, right? And if you see 46% saying that they lost a lot of revenue. So ransomware is a real thing, not much spoken about, but definitely happening on a daily basis, right? If you look at March 25, this year itself, 15 banks and financial services companies were sued for, or were fined, not sued, were fined for non-compliance, right? This is a recent news in July, just last month, where SharePoint was hackers targeted SharePoint. No doubt an on-prem SharePoint, but the point is that SharePoint carries a lot of documents. Right now, most organizations are using it to store. So, what happens in case these hackers actually delete the content? What happens then? So advisory agencies are recommending fallback systems. So those six problems which I spoke about, we've spoken to our customers, but this is on a global scale. I've shown you verifiable news that these things are happening regularly, right? And of course, we should not forget this, the Nayara story. This may be politically motivated or whatever. I am not commenting on that. The fact is that this organization lost access to the data for quite some time, and they were able to negotiate a reconnection. But what if they weren't, right? A separate backup would have delivered operational continuity without the stress. So there was stress, the organization was stressed out, right? We are not discussing the reasons, but it can happen. So in all these scenarios, these problems which play out and can play out in a business, right? They cause three problems broadly. Continuity issues means the business can get disrupted. Compliance issues, which means you are not ticking mark on the data related guidelines, internal or external. And third is cost, penalties, unexpected cost of keeping all the data. These are the problems which we need to tackle, right? So with this background, let's move ahead. What is the way to tackle these problems? So most experts, and these expert logos are given below, okay, and many more. These are just a few we researched on, okay, and these guys have extensive guidelines, articles, guidelines. Our team did the necessary research and came up with 5 things which any organization must do to solve those 6 problems we spoke about, right? So by adhering to this recommended framework, you will have an enduring solution for risk, resilience, and responsiveness. Okay, what are these things? First, the first and the most foundational thing which all of these guys talk about is that you must keep your data, automatically secure a copy of it and have it controlled with access control. This is the first and foremost thing. So the top recommendation is keep a copy of the data. Don't rely on the primary source only. In fact, Gartner has a beautiful article on this. He's saying you have to take responsibility for backing up your cloud data. Okay, you can read it. It's titled the way I said it. Okay. And the second, keeping the data is not enough. Keeping a copy is not enough. It has to be kept in a prescribed way, which means that there should be DR, there should be encryption, there should be it should be kept locally, it should have its own independent store, etc., etc., etc. There's a big checklist for this, right? Third, the whole system should be scalable, right? And it should have necessary communication tools to talk to stakeholders. So I'm keeping a copy of the data, I'm keeping it in a prescribed way, and I'm keeping that data in an automatically scalable way, which means as my data grows, I don't have to do much. Right? Fourth, it should enable supervision and incident management, which means that I should be able to get into the system and do global searches and find out what is happening in my organization. It's not enough to only master resilience. Responsiveness is as important. So, see, when you look at those 6 problems and you look at these 5 recommendations, you will see a match, and we'll talk about that also, right? And of course, it should have easy discovery, audit support, investigation support, and supervision. Now, these experts and many more are saying do these 5 things. Each has got many elements. I mean, we'll talk about that. But if you do these 5 things, you will mitigate those 6 problems. Okay. So I'm trying to build out for you the sequence, right? There are problems to be solved, and there's a way which the experts recommend, not us. This is coming from experts. Okay, just a second. Yeah. Now, so problems, suggested solution, right? What are the objectives we will achieve? So, if you follow these recommendations, you will mitigate those problems with security and privacy, attain business continuity, get a supervisory access, be able to respond quickly to issues, whatever they may be, right? And you will be able to fix accountability. This is very important, that as a business, we know something went wrong, we can find out what went wrong, and we can also fix it. That is a response, right? Which could be to the customer, to the employee, to the investor, whatever. And then also be able to fix accountability so we can prevent recurrence. So, I mean, what I'm talking about is not rocket science, right? What I'm presenting to you is the prescribed method in a way to be compliant. Now, like I said in the earlier, when I started the webinar, I said compliance typically is associated with BFSI. Oh, banks compliance, RBI. Oh, we talk about it also in the same way. I am guilty of that as well. But compliance has many forms, and we should be aware of those forms as an organization, even as partners who are consulting. And since the audience has a mix of partners and direct enterprises, it's important that the partners also be aware to suggest to the customer what they should be doing, right? So compliance comes in its different forms, and we will see those right now. So compliance with what? We talk about compliance, it's a very broad word. You will find it all over the place, right? But if you do a AI search or a Gemini search or a Google search, you'll find actually there are various forms of compliance, and we will see them now. At least we will see the few which I could think of when I made this slide, right? One is there always are internal data guidelines. Okay. Again, data. Why I'm saying the scope of this webinar is related to data and not related to other kinds of issues in a business or other kinds of operational paradigms in a business. Our focus is on data. My expertise lies there, so I want to talk about that. Any organization has data guidelines, how to keep the data, and especially for ISO or SOX certified, it becomes even more important, right? So first thing is compliance with internal data guidelines. So in this case, there is nobody watching you except you yourself. Second, there are laws like GDPR, DPDPA. The DPDPA is a new law in India. It has ramifications. You must look it up. We have a very beautiful paper on this. If you would like it, you can put a comment. We will send it to you. We've written a paper on how you can comply with DPDPA in a shared responsibility way. You can't do it all by yourself, but if you take the support of specific vendor, then in a shared model form you can comply with DPDP and it's acceptable. We've written a similar paper for GDPR. We are happy to share it with you, but please request for it, right? Third, there are guidelines from industry regulators, mainly BFSI, maybe pharma, healthcare. There are these regulators who have requirements that you must deal with data in this specific way. See, they are looking out for the citizens' interest, right? If I'm keeping my money in the bank, I trust, and it's an RBI authorized bank, I know that they are following some guidelines, right? So, compliance with 1, 2, and 3 to start with. These are very basic, and this is well known to everybody, right? But there are other things like corporate and financial compliances. It could be related to company law, company secretary guidelines, minutes of meetings to be held, blah, 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 right? So you have to comply with those. This also has a lot of data flowing, which has to be preserved for a specific period of time. Sometimes for ever, because after 10 years, the income tax might throw something at you. Okay, it can happen. Labor and employment compliances, this is with posh and all happening, it's becoming very important to keep track of this, right? There are tools for this, right? But the all the tools need data, they need information, and that is the backbone of all the compliances. It starts with point number one, that my data should be kept in a way in which it is available to me even 10 years later, because anything can happen in between. I don't have an excuse to say, oh, I deleted the data because of my own guidelines. It won't be acceptable, right? Then there are environmental compliances applying to different kinds of verticals. Maybe it doesn't apply to all, right? If you're a manufacturing company, then you have to comply with the waste disposal and things like that. So there are, so I mean, there's one more, but I'm just pausing here. That if you look at these six, right, these are the rules in which the business is operating, and you have to comply with these rules. This is the backbone of the whole, operation of your business. That you can't just serve the customer, you have to serve the customer while complying with these regulations, right? And if you're a certified company, like for example, we are an ISO 27001 certified and SOC 2 compliant company, we have to we have compliances with these, and these are not just once a year, it's ongoing. Our tools will throw up things if things don't happen on time. If you miss a training, then the tool will inform us that yes, you have missed a training, please catch up on it in the coming week, stuff like that, right? So again, just a quick recap. Six big problems to be solved. We saw that there is evidence that these problems are affecting global industries, right? Then there is expert recommendation on how to solve these problems. Excuse me. Okay, we saw that here. Just go back to that slide, right? What will it achieve? We saw this is a slide just telling you that it's beyond financial regulations, right? Now we're going to get into a little bit of a detail since this is a webinar and I want to give you a very specific takeaway. So we saw five prescribed, uh, you know, prescriptions, rather five prescriptions which say that do these five things and you will solve these six problems, right? But in under each, what are we doing? We will go through that. Just give me a second. I'll just take a sip of water. So record keeping and information asset protection is the first suggestion, right? What does it do? It will prevent data lockout and loss due to employees leaving platform obsolescence, right? It will prevent data theft and it will ensure data resilience. So the first point has definitive merit, right? In terms of these three use cases that your data will be safe with you. We saw the Nayara incident, right? If I had kept a copy of it, I am not worried about lockout. Okay, data theft, relation tampering, and data resilience, and we have seen this actually in play out in two of our customer. Just giving you two examples. Data protection and access control, which means how you keep your data, right? So because it is encrypted and it is kept in a separate location and it's got all the access controls, you would prevent its tampering and misuse. You will be able to recover from cyber attacks. So if your primary system gets attacked, you can always go back to the copy and get it back, and it will give you business continuity, right? Let's look at anytime, anywhere data accessibility. What does it mean? What it means for you is you can access information on demand during incidents and during escalation management. You don't have to hunt all over the place. It's available in one single pane of glass. This is the requirement. This is a regulatory requirement, and this is how you should be working your business, right? Saying that if I need information, it should be available at the tip of my fingers. Number one. We also call it information on tap, right? Then the other thing is to make your operation function smoothly, you have to cut delay and remedial action. If there's a problem, fix it quick, right? And the third one is when regulatory audits happen, when the auditor is there and investigations are going on, legal cases are going on, you need quick data access. Let me give an example of this. We have a health insurance company as a customer, right? A pretty big one. I cannot name them, but they have a team who's dedicatedly working on our product Vaultastic, and all they're doing is supporting the investigations team. As you know, insurance is a highly litigated industry, right? You can do some research and you'll find out it is there are a lot of cases going on. But to support those cases, people need information, they need communication, they need documents which were exchanged, and these are all preserved with the idea that during an investigation I can find it quick. Data lifecycle management. What does it even mean? What it means is data goes through its age. And today's data is highly relevant. 10-year-old data is irrelevant, maybe out of use. Okay, so it goes through its phases where it is infrequently used, things like that, right? So one of the regulatory requirement is there are customers or there are companies or organizations who tend to delete data which is old. Regulators scoff on that. They would want you to keep it and preserve it in a way which is cost effective. But you don't have the option of deleting it until it crosses a certain period, which is typically many years, right? So, meeting regulatory requirements, legal support, okay, and you can always, if you find any issue with some problem in recent data, historical data can serve as a reference, so you can even correct it if required. The fifth one, the ability to have supervision and oversight. It's as obvious as it is. We have a customer. Before I get into the use case, we have a customer who depends on this or depends on our solution only for supervision. The idea there is that they want to the sales managers in each region must supervise the communication of the sales team in that region for problems, overcommitments, price leakages, things like that, right? Customer responses, the tone of engagement, how responsive is your team to the customer's questions, things like that, whatever, which will which can hamper the sale or hamper the business, right? They need supervision, and this is so spread out that they can't do it by phone calls and all. So they do it by supervising the communication. Right? This is a very powerful use of our platform. The teams are continuously logged in and they're just scanning with saved queries that what is my team talking about. And we plan to give them a boost, this particular use case a boost, by providing an AI centric dashboard which will give insights into the communication automatically. Right? You don't have to query it. It will throw up a dashboard saying that, oh, looks like your communication sentiment is this. Looks like this particular user has sent too many, too few responses or too many responses in a particular time. Or your communication is carrying sensitive information. And these are the 5 emails or 5 chats which should not have it. So that kind of a thing we are planning to do this. We are working on it very actively at this point. I cannot divulge more details, but I'm just giving you some idea as to how we plan to plug the inefficiencies, if any, in any of these systems. Right now, you can do the supervision with queries, right? But it is to be fired by you. It has to be composed and fired by you. Imagine a dashboard which is pre-composed to your template, to your industry, and is giving you these inputs. And that's something we are just working on. So what will it help you do? Prevent fraud, or prevent leakage and stuff like that, right? Supervision of the process and any escalations, and visibility, basically for systemic improvements. So each of these guidelines by the experts has a real need. They are just not saying things for the heck of it. So if we follow these and if we benefit from these, what we have seen on the right, you would have mitigated those 6 problems to a large extent or completely. Okay. However, the currently used methods which the customers are currently using are not good enough. I'm not saying all. Our experience, our conversations show that these methods have limitations. They will achieve the purpose, but they will do it maybe with a lot of effort, right? So this is a summary. I have got a set of slides which are deliberately put in, especially from the Microsoft 365 perspective. It's the most popular one out there, so we need to be ready for challenges which are thrown up if we rely on that alone, right? So if you look at this, if we rely on the security measures of the platform itself, then we are not ready for change. If we define only a guideline, who's going to implement it, right? If we back up on cloud stores and devices, it will lack the discoverability and agility. I mean, in summary, this is what is happening, right? But let's look at it a little in detail. This is very important, these next 6, 7 slides, because we found that customers get kind of, if I don't want to use the word stuck, but they kind of they're just holding on to this saying that this is enough for me, right? But our idea is to tell the customer, listen, that what you're doing is fine. It served you so far, but there is a better way. Let's at least evaluate that, right? And always look at whether your 6 problems are getting solved in a efficient, effective way, right? That is where we want to bring the current state to, right? Just let me hide this notification. Just take another sip of water, please. You can put your questions meanwhile. If something occurs to you, you ask me, do it because I think we're good on time. So one big, the blue thing is what we hear from customers. I have large mailboxes or large account spaces, and it's more than enough. It's good to know, but it's also important for you to know that this is not protected against deletion. First, second, I use cloud. What can go wrong? I use Salesforce, I use Freshdesk, I use Microsoft, Google, Apple. What can go wrong? Nothing. As such, nothing. But while I'm saying this, I am also proven wrong. In the last 2 years itself, in this year and the last year, we have seen major incidences on these clouds. It can happen to anybody, right? It's not intentional, but it can happen. We should be ready for it. That is the whole idea of the prescription by people like Gartner, who say that it doesn't matter what you use, it could be platinum plated cloud as well. If something goes wrong, you can't catch anybody. You are the one who's responsible. So, very important to note that I may be using all these clouds, but the basic plans of none of these come with data protection. Let's assume nothing happens to the cloud, but what if data gets deleted by your users, by the admin? Then what, right? Third, deactivated former employee accounts, very commonly done, right? You can do this, but you can't really search and find things quickly in these. These are just kept. It's a notional security. You feel good that the data is kept, but to activate them and find information is time consuming. Plus, you need licenses again. So, not a great way. See, one of the six things is productivity loss. Okay, if I'm going to take 1 week to activate an account, index it in Outlook, and then search in those chats and mails, and it's a huge waste of my time, right? I periodically download and preserve data. Old method, still a lot of people may be doing it. It's okay to do it as a second copy. Fine. That is a second level of you can say assurance. Do it. In fact, our platform supports a push to on-prem also, just for this reason. But it should not be the primary method. Why? Because it is error prone, it's high effort, it's time consuming, and very risky, right? Because where you keep the data, it can get deleted, right? I may be saying things which are very basic, but it is true. These things are happening out there, and we have to go past these to a better way, right? If you're using legal hold kind of a solution to protect data, legal hold is not a backup. Anybody who thinks it's a backup may be making a big mistake, right? Legal hold is a tool which is deployed on selected users to mark them as potential under the radar. Okay, so they have to be under the radar. Okay, fine, but you can't do it for all users, and it does not make a copy of the data. It just keeps the deleted items, so it fragments your data. Not suitable productivity wise, cost wise. We have to look at all the six problems whenever we are choosing a solution. Otherwise, you might end up in a place which is going to cost you more or take more effort and go like that, right? We don't want that to happen. Six, the online archive which is present, right, in the Microsoft tool especially, and in the case of Google, it is Vault for enterprise licenses. People believe it protects their data. It does, but it does not make a copy. So, in fact, Exchange Online Archive does not even protect your data because it is just keeping old data. It does not make a copy. So, if I delete from the archive, it's gone. So, the purpose is to, like a film archive, to keep away the old films. But if that catches fire, the films are gone. Please understand, none of these systems are actually making a copy of your data. They're giving you a platform to use. Very useful, no doubt about it, right? But data protection is not part of the it's not in the bargain, it's not in the package, right? Other thing is people backing up data to cloud stores. Do it. It will help you do a full system recovery, which means laptop lost, corrupt, I can recover, fine. This is required. It is not to be replaced, but it does not give you the functionality of an archive which is search ready. Imagine being able to find something 10 years old in few seconds, few minutes, right, with a query, rather than hunt for a device find it using a very extensive catalog mechanism, restore it. Okay. Here's a we have a pharma manufacturing company as a customer. Before they adopted our solution, they were doing backups to tapes and drives and all, right? In fact, we've seen this in a cooperative bank in Mumbai. Uh, do it, taking the backup weekly, monthly, keep doing it until you get a compliance query or an audit query. With the pharma company, the recovery time was, the audit response time was a month, on the outer, at least 2 weeks, to 2 weeks to a month, right? And as far as the bank was concerned, the room full of drives was impossible to locate. It was a notional thing. It was good for compliance. If the RBI came to say, oh, okay, data is all there, but the searchability is very low. Okay, so again, 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and you're never sure whether that thing will work, right? So while the backups are not replaced with an archive, right? An archive is also a backup, but not the other way around. So if we are looking at searchability, if we are looking at being able to comply with investigations and stuff like that, then a backup may not be very helpful. It will do the job eventually. You get my point, but you will not tick off on the efficiency part or the effectiveness part. So everything has a trade-off, right? So we are looking at, which I'm what I'm going to come to is, how do you comply with all those discussions that we had, right? All the regulations, internal policies, and all, without having to compromise, right? Then this is another common one we've seen. We're getting email archiving solution with unlimited storage. The big problem is the unlimited storage is a marketing proposition. It has to come with some limits. Think of yourself as a business offering unlimited storage. By the way, we used to do that. 5 years ago, when we launched our product, our plans had unlimited storage, but they were so heavily misused, and we could not maintain that. Maintain that operation anymore. It's not possible also, right? And the misuse happens typically from system IDs and not normal IDs. So where the growth is massive, we've seen 50 GB mailboxes fill up in a week, where you're getting alerts, notifications, and all kinds of mails and messages and chats are happening, right? So the problem with unlimited storage is, it's good as an attraction, but there is always some caveat, and you should always read that to understand what is a caveat. For instance, legacy data you may not be able to import, or there will be a daily cap. It's unlimited, but you cannot upload beyond so much in a day. So all these things make a difference to scale, right? Single box journaling is a very common practice. The big problem with this is everybody's communication comes to one mailbox. It becomes very difficult to find, and this is a privacy nightmare for VIP users. They hate it. Okay, this is something which they will hate, right? I don't have a budget for this. Another very common challenge we hear. But imagine not doing this. What are the problems you face, right? The fines, the ransomware, which you might have to pay out, or the loss of productivity. So make budget for this, right? So there's a high cost of non-compliance. In other words, all these things which I shared with you, if you can summarize it in 6 points, right? You're paying fines, you are being restricted in some way, you might get your license cancelled, and all of these you can do a Google search and you'll find some or the other news related to it. It's happening more and more in the BFSI sector, but other sectors also will not be too far, right? Legal action, naming and shaming, or public disclosure, and governance related actions may also come about. So there's a high cost to non-compliance. So far what we have covered is, there are global level problems to be solved. We identified 6 of them, right? We saw news items related to each, which showed that these problems exist. We saw what experts are saying on how to solve the problem. We had a look at those 5 point framework and what that achieves. Okay, we went into the depth of each of them to see what it serves. We saw what compliance means and what the cost of non-compliance is. We also saw what current methods limitations are. So what is the way forward? So what is the way out? Simple it is. There are 3 things. have a centralized archive means imagine that all these fragmented systems, we can get the data in one place. Leave them. You use HR, you use Salesforce, you use ticketing, you use Microsoft, Google. You continue using that 107, 110 SaaS tools. The statistic shows that any organization is using at least 100 plus SaaS tools. Okay, imagine Canva, and you can just keep listing. Now with AI, it's grown, by the way, right? GPT is also one tool to be used. So while you're using all these 100 plus tools, keep a central copy of the data, all the information. Cross platform, which means get data from all these sources of different types and keep them in a central place, and modernize, make it searchable so that you are agile. So imagine a dashboard in which you can log in and see all your data in one place. That is what your vision should be for your to solve these six problems, right? So you want to actually elevate your compliance. You want to go from basic methods to built-in archives to data lakes, right up to a modern compliance management, which gives you full visibility and the resilience you're looking for. We are proposing one way to do it, right? You could find another way, but just stick to the theme, right? That is what I would like you to take away from this webinar, right? That as people who have spoken to thousands customers at least, right, we've understood that what people are doing, what platforms they are using, and how they can comply eventually, right? First is go for centralized. Don't say I'll have my email archive in one place, file archive in another place, chat archive in a third place, SharePoint in a fourth place, CRM in a fifth place. That is just like a elemental backup, right? But a central archive, if you can bring it together and then you have layers of search on it, it will make your life a lot easier, right? It will reduce your support cost, it will reduce administrative cost, and it will also reduce your legal risk, because the risk of losing anything in all these fragmentations is very high. So centralize is the first recommendation. Cross-platform is second recommendation. Means have one tool which can take information from various sources in one place and give you a way to search them all and manage it, retention, sharing, whatever. Right. So cross-platform, not just sources but types. Okay. No-brainer. Don't look at an older method, look at a modern method, an elastic, agile way, which is on demand and which can help you cut cost as well, right? I will not read out each of these points. Each of these points is like a tip or an input on how to choose a platform which is modern. We probably share the snippet with you, so you don't have to make notes. Now, how we do it is we've looked at these six slides which I'm going to show you. They talk about how we tackle the key aspects of a compliance system. One is security and privacy. So one or two screenshots are shared, but we take care of that at three different levels. Business continuity with a inbuilt DR side or a data lifecycle management, data accessibility all the time, right? A quick response. That means you should be able to find information very quickly. TAT should be at least 10 times faster. So we have one customer who bought our product only because they could find information 10 times quicker than any other method, right? So the response is very important. It helps you with redressal of grievances and all. Supervision is getting more and more popular. The ability to scan communication of my teams, of the organization, to pick out, it's not just for problems, it's also for knowledge, right? So supervision is a very powerful tool too, and e-discovery is a powerful tool. And this is where we are putting a lot of our internal effort to make this easier, like cross storage searches and stuff. We're really working on hard on that. You will see releases. If you're a customer of Vaultastic, you will see releases coming up soon on this front, right? Audit trails, reporting, on-demand audits help you fix accountability. We have an inbuilt incident management tool. I'm not sure if you're using it. If you're already a customer, do use it. Okay, talk to us to get help on this. But this will help you locate information, share it with experts outside your company, within the company, and take input from them, right? Just a few case studies. Yeah, we are just two or three more slides. This is how a bank uses our software for compliance. Like I said, compliance is not just for banks, but their primary thing was complying with RBI regulations. And this is the same bank. No, this is not the one. There's the other bank which has won the case which I spoke about. This is a large bank. They use our service for two things. One is Vaultastic with Microsoft 365, and they do, which is not mentioned here, but they do bulk notifications. They send using our platform. It's another tool. They send about 1 million, 1.5 million mails a day, which includes these OTPs, reports, and stuff like that, right? The scale at which we operate at in a high reputation way, so they use that tool for sending those notifications, and those are also archived. Imagine 1.5 million emails besides regular communication getting archived. That gives you an idea about how scalable this is, right? This is an NBFC which saves about 80, 90 lakh rupees a year for just keeping former employee data. This is one use case which they are using it for. This is a professional service company, mainly took it for ransomware defense, right? And along the lines, we have several customers in the from the law firms, audit firms, accounting firms. We have those kind of customers growing in a big way since they're dealing with customer communication and knowledge. So we had one discussion yesterday, I think I had with one customer who said, notwithstanding any other tool, our primary way of communication is chat and email. So these things cannot be uh, lost in any way. So they have to be preserved. In fact, we have one financial service company in Mumbai who uses Teams chat for share broking. Imagine, no phone calls. It happens on chat. The idea being that it's recorded, right? And according to SEBI guidelines, the chat has to be archived for 8 years, 8 or 10 years. So we do that also for them because that gives the full transaction details. And all of this is happening immediately. Buy, sell, rate, this, and all the discussion happens on Teams chat. So they've made specific groups or they've made specific conversation threads, which are all recorded and preserved, right? Uh, just a quick background about our service. We sell in 18 countries. Now, if you may have seen the announcement, as of yesterday, we are now available on the AWS marketplace as well. So globally, customers who now buy from us directly or through partners, they have the option of even buying online through the Amazon marketplace, and it will fulfill it from there, right? So we will provide the service, but the purchase and the buying entire life cycle is serviced through the Amazon marketplace. So there is an option to do that now. As of yesterday, we have gone live on that. I put out that announcement in the pre-webinar, that video which was playing, right? So we serve verticals across from BFSI to manufacturing to professional services to IT. IT is big with us. IT also falls under the compliance umbrella, and the you might wonder what does IT comply with? IT has to comply with customer regulations. Right? When I'm serving a large customer, a prestigious one, they have their own guidelines which I have to adhere to. Right? As a company, we are highly certified, highly rated, and been there for a very long time, very trusted company, right? This product has been there in the market for about 6 to 7 years. We have more than 400 enterprise grade customers. We manage about a petabyte of data as we talk, right? These are some of our other products. This is the one I was talking about, Clearstream, the second one. That bank is using this for bulk notifications in high volume, very reputed and very scalable. A lot of BFSI uses this service from us, right? We don't market it very aggressively, but it is word of mouth. We are getting, I mean, we have this very high adoption of this. Others are well integrated into the Vaultastic platform itself. This is a small, like a giveaway for you. I'd spoken about this in my earlier webinars, but I think it's an important checklist. I probably share this with you guys separately. If you're buying an enterprise information archive platform, do go through these buying guidelines, so to say, right? Look for data security and protection, which means certified multi-layer security, immutable storage, a bare minimum of any. I'm not saying you buy Vaultastic. You buy any platform, but make sure you get these things covered, right? Make sure that the system itself complies with the regulatory guidelines. It doesn't leave it to you. It should not say, here's a tool, now you use it the way you want. No, here's a tool which already is certified and compliant, like ISI, right? The Indian Security Institute is like that. So the tool itself should have that ability to help you comply out of the box. Third is make sure it's an agile and flexible tool. Means it should not be, I don't need five tools. One should do my job. It's like a Swiss knife, right? It should optimize my cost and be highly scalable because you will grow, the tool should grow with you. Okay. And not cost you as much. It should be future proof. It means it should have a definitive roadmap. I shared one with you about how we are working on AI. So AI is going to be a very integral part of making the data more visible and more usable, right? And this is a bonus. Make sure there's use case suitability. I'm buying a tool, but does it help me with my problems? If it does not, think twice. Okay. So this is it from me. I have crossed maybe, I think the wait in the earlier time has maybe cost us this. I'm going to come to the questions. Oh yes, I have some questions here. Let's go to the questions quickly. Right. Yeah, somebody's asked for the DPDPA note. I'll send it to you. Right. Which tool are you using? I guess you mean where the data is hosted. I mean, I'm just assuming that's what you mean. So we are hosted on AWS in the India region. So for the Indian customers, we cater to make sure the residency clause is taken care of, right? I mean, if that's what you're asking. If it's anything else, please clarify. Yes, we do have support for Azure. How we do is the platform runs on AWS. It's cloud native, right? But in case you would like the resting spot for your data to be Azure or Google or even on-premise, we can do that for you. Which means that we have customers who do this. What they will do is they will keep the data 4 5 years on Vaultastic, 8 years, and after that they will say push the data onto my Azure cloud in a raw form. So it's not searchable, okay, but it is, at least you can have it in your own space. If you need to search it, then you would again need our tool, which you can always access. So this is something we do very often. We are doing it for a lot of our customers. Yes, we will share the recording, and we will also share the snippet, right? Can the tool have migration capability from Mailwall to your tool? Yeah, so this is a good question. The Typically the other archiving platforms, they don't give you API unless it is a cloud like service like Microsoft or Google. So the way to do it from these other archiving platforms is to export and import. So our team will guide you, but that's possibly the only way. But it can be evaluated. I mean, if you just we can connect offline, then we can discuss this in more depth. But we have done many such, means in for every customer we are doing migrations to start with, right? This is a good question. How do we price your product licensing or space? It is by space, not by number of users. We do not care about the number of users whose data is being archived. It's a cumulative consumption of storage and which storage. So there are various different storage classes. We could probably discuss this a little more in depth if you're interested, right? But to answer your question, it is nothing to do with number of users. Yeah. Just go through the other questions in the interest of time. I'll share the DPDPA note with the person who has asked. Yeah. Can you share the pricing? Sure. The pricing is published on our website. You can, if you go to the Vaultastic website, look at pricing, you will see that there are 4 plans there along with the add-on packs. All right. Have a look at that. Connect with us we can even work out a proposal for you based on your exact requirement. We have a calculator which does that. But if you want to know the pricing, it is very much published on our website under the pricing section of Vaultastic. It's fully transparent, right? And if you have a requirement, discuss with us, connect with us. You can schedule a call with us, and we can then give you a proposal for your need. New questions coming. Okay, just a second. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you have a hard stop, no issues. I would also like to stop it at one sharp to keep the discipline of time. Uh, there are no more questions I can see. I can see two or three more questions related to security. Uh, so, like I said, we are ISO certified and SOC 2 compliant. So, security is in our DNA, so to say. But if there are any specific questions related to security, we are happy to answer those. But we taken care of all the fundamentals related to disaster recovery, WAFs, multi-layered security, encryption. All that is taken care of, and it is certified by three people: ISO, the SOC 2 compliance, and the AWS FTR. So this ensures that we follow the guidelines, right? That is about security. How does Vaultastic comply with regulatory frameworks? I described that whatever are the regulatory frameworks ask for, we comply with those you by on each. So we have actually made a table for each of the regulatory frameworks and said that if the regulator is saying A, how do we comply? If the regulator is saying B, how do we comply? So we have taken care of all the data related requirements of the key regulatory frameworks and the laws both, like DPDP and GDPR, right? But it's basically with security controls, processes, right? These are the two primary ways in which we help you use Vaultastic and comply. I can wait another minute or so. If there are any more questions, I'll be happy to answer. I mean, I'm just hoping this was useful, right? And you were able to take away something from this. We will follow up with some content for you so that you can refer to some specific videos. If there's anything specific you would like, simply write to me directly. You probably will have my email ID by the invitation which I have sent out to you, right? You can just respond to me saying that you want to know more about this or more about that. I'll be happy to engage. I mean, the idea here is to deliver value to the audience and give them something which they can use, right, in their day-to-day operation, in your day-to-day operation. So I'm very happy to respond to queries at if you write to me directly as well, right? So this is now 103, and there are no more questions that I can see. Let me have one more look at it. What is the RTO and RPO? These are highly technical questions. Maybe we can take a look at these offline, right? But at this point, I would not probably engage in that to answer to this. But if you want to know very quickly, RPO is near zero because of the way we keep the data in two different availability zones of AWS, and RTO will be maybe 1 to 2 hours. And this is all certified and audited in our ISO and FTR certifications, right? So with that, I take your leave. I would wish you to have a very good rest of the day, right? And if you are in Mumbai, take care. I can even in Pune the rains are pretty heavy. So yeah, be safe and God bless you. Thank you for attending the webinar. Thank you for listening to me patiently. And please take the survey, share your thoughts so that the next webinar we can be better and give you some bigger and better webinars as we go along. Appreciate the time you have spent here. Thank you so much. I take your leave. Bye bye.